The biometric registration exercise. We've done the first phase. Phase 1 of the exercise is over. And then I went to my constituency to register on Sunday. I'm back in Accra. Today the exercise was off, and then phase 2 begins tomorrow. Have you been to your constituency to see what is happening there lately?
Sure. I went to the constituency at the beginning of the program. I toured most of the centers. At that time, the anxiety was high.
Okay.
The people interest was quite low. People were still assessing the situation.
Okay.
We had to go around the houses to encourage people to come out and register, precisely because this is biometric registration, and since every individual is unique, you have to ensure that you have the card. Now, the challenges that we faced at the start of the program was the challenge of where to center or position the polling stations. Okay. Apparently, there were attempts to split up polling stations that were registering high numbers under when we went to the elections last time. Okay. And those same polling stations are put at the same centers which recorded these high numbers, and that kind of caused a problem. People thought that they would have shifted them to areas and disperse of the crowd and ensure that the management of elections when it comes to voting would be quite conducive and manageable. But that not being the case, we are contending ourselves with the situation now, ensuring that by the end of the program, we will have all our people come out and register, and as well ensure that people who live outside the constituency and who want to come home and register are encouraged to come home and register.
What are some of the peculiar challenges that you identified on your tour in your constituency? Well,
like I said earlier, the particular challenge I had was precisely the fact that people thought that it was the normal thing. I mean, they were registering for elections, and this ID card, this voter ID card was the same like the one they had. Okay. And so they were prepared to wait their time until they had enough time to go out and register. Okay. And because the centers have been locked in, and we had to go to explain to them that an opportunity having been given to people who registered at a particular polling station ought to go and register. Okay. Because when it moves away, you might find difficulties because of your house number and other statistics location that have been locked into the system, and that might present difficulties for you after you've registered. And clearly, you say you will want people, and being a Muslim community, the women came out for special consideration because they wear veils, they wear scarves and whatnot, and you have to expose your facial features in such way that the camera can capture you and actually position you in such a way that your features can be identified. And we had to explain to the people to push back their headgears, to ensure that their ears are exposed, so that they can be captured. Because it will be quite disappointing if people get captured on the camera, and when the whole thing is processed, they are told that no, your picture was not that good to be.
But have you registered yourself as of now?
My polling station is up for registration next week. So this week. Tomorrow's tomorrow will be the second phase. Yeah, tomorrow. So tomorrow. So I'm going on Thursday to register.
To your constituency to register.
Sure.
Okay. Tonight, the discussion, viewers, is Energy Ghana, Energy and the Development Nexus, and we are focusing on the provision of power, Electricity Company of Ghana, the load shedding exercise, and then what the future holds for Ghana. Back again to the Honorable Deputy Minister for Energy, Honorable Inusa Fuseni, who is also the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. The load shedding exercise. How necessary was it that we should have the load shedding exercise right now as we speak?
Well, the load shedding in whatever form is a management decision. Okay. It's how to manage your power system in such a way as to prevent the total collapse of the system. Okay. So when you say load shedding, you mean you are putting off certain areas or certain consumers to stabilize the power system. Okay. Now, clearly, any time that you have load shedding, it means that the available power is not adequate to meet the available demand. Okay. And so, that being so, if you don't manage the available power, your system might go into overdraft and collapse. Okay. So that's load shedding. Nobody goes to a standby generator or a switch house to put off the power. There are people in the SCADA room, in a room, that monitor on 24-hour basis how the power system is performing. And they have to respond timeously to ensure that, in instances where the load is catching up with the available demand, we could pose problems to the integrity of the system to take decisions that will save the integrity of the system.
Okay.
So load shedding clearly is a necessary part of a system that does not have adequate power and reserve margins to deal with available demand.
Okay, over the past 2.5 years and over, we've had a situation where we've had a relatively stable power supply until recently that we drifted into some form of rationing or some form of load shedding. During the juxtaposition between the period that we've had a relatively stable distribution and power supply up to now, what accounts for the sharp fall in the available supply as the demands, as you explained, has overwhelmed the system?
It's a combination of factors.
Okay.
First of all, we were stable and reliable until we had information from Nigeria, notice from the Nigerian operators of the West Africa gas pipeline that they were going to embark on routine maintenance and were not entitled to expect legitimately the amount of gas that was flowing from Nigeria to Ghana.
Okay.
Mind you, immediately the announcement came, the immediate effect, consequential effect, was that 220 megawatts of power was going to be put out of the system.
Oh, so that is how much Nigeria's gas supply helps?
I'm just trying to explain to you
Okay.
automatically.
Okay.
Because we have a power plant in Ghana here that runs entirely on gas.
Okay. Which is?
That's Asono Asogle power
Okay,
plant.
the Asono Asogle, okay.
So if there's no gas, you lose 220 megawatts.
And that's huge.
Huge. So when immediately they announced, we got this problem.
Okay.
Now, after some time, the situation stabilized.
Okay.
They resumed supply of gas.
Okay.
And then by a divine stroke, the shield skywire at Akosombo gave in, fell onto the system, and collapsed the system.
Okay.
That was the first national blackout.
That's the first national blackout we had.
That we had.
Okay.
The shield skywire fallen off in Akosombo and discharging
what is a skywire?
It's like a conductor.
Okay.
Okay. It fell, cut, and fell on the equipment, discharging a lot of current into the system. High voltage.
Yeah.
It stopped.
Okay.
So the first system collapsed. To know how system collapses work, when that thing happened, it was a shieldware, so the system came to a halt. Immediately, the technicians and engineers set to work, and within 3 hours, power was restored.
Okay.
That was not load shedding.
Okay.
The second problem that we had, clearly, was the Malam bulk supply point.
Okay.
Now, all the power that is coming from Tema and Akosombo area passed through Malam. Malam bulk supply point served 70% of Accra.
I see.
And we had the transformer, a substation giving in. 70% of Accra goes off.
Okay.
Again, a problem.
Okay. Which government has no control over.
Neither the engineers.
Okay.
I mean, the machines don't give notice when they are going off.
Yeah.
Like the Skyware, it never gave notice that it was going to break and broke.
Okay.
The third one was what we could call what has an element of human error and judgment.
Okay.
This was the 21st March occurrence. What happened was we were normal and stable until Ivory Coast started drawing about 70 megawatts of power from the power system. Now, Ivory Coast has a power exchange agreement with Ghana.
Okay.
And when they have a power shortfall, they can fall on us. Equally, when we have a power shortfall, we can fall on them.
Okay.
And so when there are two systems given and they needed to augment the shortfall in Ivory Coast, they immediately activated the exchange agreement between us and started drawing 70.
Okay.
The 70 megawatts that was flowing into Ivory Coast, exerted tremendous pressure on our system. It could not cope, and the system collapsed. Okay. So that was a third blackout. But you see that these are unrelated, uncoordinated, coincidental events.
Yeah.
What has this done to the system and confidence of consumers? What has it done to the confidence level of Ghanaians? I mean, clearly everybody's talking about 3 nationwide blackouts within a space of 3 months.
Yeah.
But these were accidental occurrences, except the last one.
Okay.
So the utility companies, generators, distributors, and transmitters have a responsibility to ensure that the system is robust.
Okay.
And that is the responsibility that we have assumed, and that is what we are trying to discharge.
Okay. What's the situation in Suna Asogli as we speak?
It's on now.
Suna Asogli is on.
It's on.
Gas supply has been restored.
Yes.
So how come the load shedding has still been announced?
Just this morning, I spoke to the acting managing director of ECG, and he said, no, you know, because of the confidence level of Ghanaians having been greatly impacted upon by the national blackouts, we thought we should publish and convey to Ghanaians that, look, we don't know what will happen tomorrow.
Okay.
We don't know what will happen in future.
Okay.
Let's put Ghanaian minds at ease, such that if we if the system runs at a level that is not adequate enough to supply enough megawatts for the peak demand, we might have to shed load.
Okay.
So that we'll put them on notice that we might. But you realize that they have not embarked on the systematic load shedding. It was just intended to give notice.
Okay, so if I understood you properly, the recent announcement made by the Electricity Company of Ghana was to alert the public that in the case of any eventuality, we might resort to an option, which is the load shedding. But it is not something they have institutionalized, that from Monday to Friday, Saturday to Sunday, the load is going to be shared in some particular areas.
And that was even made very clear when we met when we invited the chief executives of VRA, Greco, and ECG to a meeting. VRA clearly informed us that the status quo ante, the situation that was prevailing before the disruption of the gas supply to Ghana, has been restored. And all their generators are operational. So the amount of megawatts being produced now is exactly the same as was produced earlier. And so they do not see how the ECG could embark on rationing. But ECG is saying now, this time in the life of Ghana, this period between January and May are the hottest periods in Ghana.
Let's take a short break, and then when we come back, the discussion continues. Ghana, Energy and the Development Nexus, with the Honorable Deputy Minister for Energy, Honorable Inusa Fuseni, who is also the Member of Parliament for Tamale. Honorable Deputy Minister, before we went on the break, you assured us that as of now, the gas supply to Suna Asogli has been restored, and then the problems that we face associated with the load shedding is soon going to be over, and that the plans announced by the ECG are only temporary measures. Some have
proactive measures.
Proactive measures, yeah, thanks for the correction. Some have quoted you to have mentioned that we have added 150 megawatts of power to the national grid, and then His Excellency President John Evans Mills has also, in his State of the Nation address, also mentioned that a figure which is much bigger than that. How much megawatts of power has the Mills administration, under your watch, added to the national grid since January 2009?
Thank you so very much. It's unfortunate that people misunderstood me and perceived the statement I made as being contradictory to what the president said. There's no contradiction at all. I was talking as deputy minister in charge of power and what the Minister of Energy, working through its subsidiary, which is responsible for generation, VRA, has done. And I use about 150.
So it's just a projection.
No, it's not a projection.
It's an approximation.
Yes. Now I ran it down. I didn't even run it down. I ran it down. And I can give you. I'm going to give you the exact figures.
Yeah, you give us exactly. So I will set the record straight right here.
When the president was addressing Parliament, that's what people ought to know. The president was addressing Parliament in his capacity as the president of the Republic of Ghana.
Exactly so.
And in saying that we had added 376 megawatts to the installed capacity, the president was simply saying that from 2009 that we took on, over office to the time that he was making the State of the Nation address in Parliament, 376 megawatts had been added to the national grid. And how did that come about? I'm going to give you the figures. But the first, clearly, the first one, why I didn't even mention it, was Suna Asogli. Suna Asogli power plant was built to run on gas. It was only in 2010 that Suna Asogli generated power at all.
I see.
And it generated 220 megawatts of power.
So for all the while that the company was established, it was lying
there was no gas. There simply was no gas. So 220 megawatts. Why didn't I mention 220 megawatts? Suna Asogli is an IPP. It's an independent power producer. It's an investor who saw an opportunity in Ghana, came and established or installed a plant for the purposes of generating power and selling same to the utility.
So it's not a government project?
No.
Understood.
So, what is the government project? And I give you this. In 2009, the TT1PP at Tema, the Tema plant, added to the national grid 176 megawatts of power.
Okay.
The TT2, a Tema project, in 2010, that is the TT2P1, added 12.9 megawatts of power. The TT2PP, another Tema project, the same project, they are turbines, added 12.9 megawatts of power. The third turbine added 7.9 megawatts of power in 2010.
Okay.
The fourth one, 7.9 megawatts of power. The fifth one, 7.9 megawatts of power.
Okay.
If you add all those megawatts of power, you are going to get 49.5.
Okay.
49.5. If you round that up, you are going to get 50.
Yeah.
If you add 50
To the 100.
to the 126,
Yeah.
you get 176.
Okay.
If you add it to the 220 installed capacity by Sono Astogle, a private investor, you are going to get 296.
Okay. So that is the context within which the president spoke.
The context within which the president spoke.
Okay.
Clearly.
Okay.
And so, even the president is speaking, ran down the figures.
Okay.
And I see clearly, the president ran down, used Sono Astogle, the 100 installed capacity, and that gave you 200. And when you add 200 to 176, you get 376.
Okay, that's
It's simple,
that explains it.
and people misunderstood
Yeah.
that and said the Honorable Indus Officer had contradicted it. No,
Okay.
indeed. You see, that's why I came here and brought all the documents. I can tell you as a matter of fact that in 1997, 1995, 96, 97, Ghana went through difficult times.
Okay.
That was when we recorded very low inflows into the into the Akosombo Dam. At that time, we depended heavily on hydroelectric power. And then a decision was taken to ensure that we add more installed capacity by thermal to the national grid. And it is a program that we implemented. The first IPP that came into this country came under the previous NDC government. And that was under when Bill Clinton came to Ghana.
Okay.
And these discussions were held. It resulted in a company in Michigan called CMS coming to do the TACA project.
Okay. The TACA, yeah.
Now, TACA has been running a simple cycle turbine since its creation. Now, when we left office in 2000, and from 2001 to 2008, attempts to have a machine converted into a combined cycle by the use of the heat generated through the burning of LCO for further additional megawatts failed.
Okay.
But I can tell you, just on Saturday, we were in Takoradi. And before long, we will be embarking on the conversion of the plant to a combined cycle for additional 110 megawatts of power.
Okay.
Because we know what it means to the stability of power in this country. Now, I'm telling you again, the T3, construction is going on. The timeline for the coming on board of the 132 megawatts of power is June.
Okay. This is
Latest July.
Okay.
We're going to add 132 megawatts to the installed capacity of this country. The steam turbine of T1 that was out for a very long time will come on board.
Okay.
And we're going to add 110 megawatts of power to the installed capacity. So again, if you listen to me, I said 230. You run it down. We're being modest and conservative with the figures because these are machines.
Okay.
You don't expect efficiencies that will give you 100%. So you run down to ensure that you are within manageable limits.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to show you a chart that the Ministry of Energy is pursuing through the determination of government to ensure that we have an installed capacity of 5,000 megawatts in the short to medium term.
5,000.
5,000. Why? Because we have said that we want to preposition Ghana as a net exporter of energy.
Okay.
We have said that Ghanaian, we must be able to satisfy the domestic consumer and ensure that we inject reliability and sustainability in our power generation system.
Okay.
We have said that energy should not be a constraint to the expansion and development of this country. That investors who come into this country to invest, and we sympathize tremendously with companies and industry who have difficulties operating because of the erratic power supply. And so government is committed to ensuring that this constraint is removed. In fact, it is precisely because we want to remove this constraint, and that is why the Compact 2 discussions center around removing energy constraints. And the money that is going to come in, majority of that money will be used in the energy sector. Clearly, government has a plan, and we are pursuing the same plan. Now, in 2012, I just mentioned what will come on. In 2013, or ending 2012, you know, we met funds that the previous government had sold from China for the construction of the Bui Dam. They went and cut the sword for the construction of the Bui Dam, but no construction started. So we came in and took the project and ran with it.
So it
By
was the Mills administration that actually began the construction of the Bui Dam.
That is building the Bui Dam. And I've been there so many times. And I'm telling you, by December, we are going to add 1 turbine will be operating, and we'll be adding 133 megawatts of power.
How many turbines are we expecting from Bui?
We're expecting 4 turbines.
4 turbines.
Yes. We're going to add, and we're going to add. I mean, we're going to ensure that by the end of the construction period, we are going to have 400 megawatts installed capacity at Bui, which come on in 2000.
The discussion is energy development nexus with the Honorable Deputy Minister of Energy, Honorable Inusa Fusaini. Honorable, before we went on the break, you were giving us some figures. If you can quickly run them through.
I'm saying that, let me give you the existing generating capacity and the committed. What we are doing now. And what we intend to do in the future. Now, the existing ones, you know, obviously, Akosombo, you know, Pong, those are referred to the TT1, the Tema project, the TT2, the Mines Reserve Plant, the TAPCO, TICO, and Asogle. These are the existing ones. Now, committed, what we want to do, TAPCO is going combined cycle. And that is what is going to produce more power for us here. Now, T3 is going combined cycle. Now, there was a project that was being pursued under the MPP that went off when we came into power. The Osono power plant, now taken over by Senate. Senate is a subsidiary of Senate. Now, we have committed that, and by the end of 2012, latest 2013, they will be producing 120 megawatts of power. Then we have, I just mentioned Bui, the KTPP, then we have the TICO combined cycle, then we have the TT1 combined cycle, then we have VRA has acquired size in the northern region, and is intent on putting in 5 megawatts of power by next year. And so, consistent with our determination to have renewable energy play a part in the generation mix of this country, VRA has taken the lead. And by next year, you will have 5 megawatts of power being solar energy fed into the national grid.
I think that is impressive.
Now, by 2014, they have also acquired size to develop wind farms.
Wind farms?
Yes. And by 2014, you will have the first 50 megawatts of wind farm in this country. And by 2015, they will up it by another 100 to be 150 megawatts.
Is that why the mandates to rule, the mandate to govern, should be reposed in His Excellency President Mills again, so that the laudable projects that you're mentioning, we can pursue them beyond 2012?
Sometimes it baffles me. In reading figures like this, in talking about what the government is doing, you hear people talk about propaganda and lies. How can this be propaganda?
These are bad
We
facts.
have walked this path before.
And we are walking it again.
And this is precisely when we said that we had raised the access rates in Ghana from 54% to 72%. People were shocked. It was surprised.
It means we've added 18% in 3 years.
Because the whole national electrification scheme, which we christened rural electrification, was the brainchild of the previous administration, the NDC administration.
Under His Excellency President Jerry John Rawlings. Okay.
And so when we came, we knew exactly what to do.
It's like going back to the blueprints and moving on it.
I will show you many things that was said, but that was not done.
Okay.
I could show you many.
Okay.
But we appreciate the sensibility of Ghanaians. They say they changed the previous government because they want us to work.
Exactly.
And they should bear with us. When we say we are working, we are indeed working.
The figures are
I always say, to be honest with you, that NDC is concerned with governing.
Okay.
We want to deliver on the mandate that has been reposed in us. Some other party is intent on ruling. And they say what they like. We intend on governing. And that is why when you mention these figures and you try to tell Ghanaians what is happening, those who are not prone to believe in you think that it's propaganda. This is not propaganda.
1,700 communities, according to the figures, have been added to the national grid since His Excellency President John Evans Mills took over power. What does that mean to national development?
But that means, one, you stem the tide of rural-urban migration.
Okay.
One, Asame in the University of Ghana had written a book in which he described city life as the cornucopia of city life.
Okay.
That attractions that bring people to the city. If it is to watch TV, which they don't watch, or to do things which are not in the rural areas by reason of absence of light, you send it there, you keep them there.
Okay.
It reduces pressure on city life and urban facilities. Two, you encourage the development
of the local areas.
Industries, cottage industries, small-scale industries,
businesses,
cassava processing industries, wood processing industries can spring up because they now have the critical element that is required for industrial use, power. And so by extension, if you do that, the net effect is that you will be reducing poverty.
Okay.
And it is the intention of every government to reduce poverty amongst the people. So when we say we are embarking and we've connected 1,700, you should come to the Minister of Energy and see, or go to the district assemblies and see the pressure that comes to bear on the district chief executives or the Minister of Energy from communities wanting to be connected to the national grid.
Let me quote from.
I'm not stopping here.
Okay.
Let me tell you. This is what we have connected. In the northern region, we are going to connect 500 communities.
In the northern region alone? 500 communities.
Hunan.
Between now and December?
Yesterday, arrangements were far advanced to release the advance payment of the contractors.
Okay.
In the Upper East region, we are connecting 500 communities.
That's 1,000.
And that EPC contract, just like the northern region, EPC contract.
Okay.
In the Upper West region, we are connecting 400 communities.
So 1,400.
Aside the 1,700 that you have mentioned that have already been connected.
So we are adding extra 1,400.
In the Western, Central, and Broad Africa regions, under a welded Lamont facility, we are connecting 1,800 communities. Just recently, I was in India, and we are bringing into this country 630 transformers of various sizes to upgrade the rural electrification system.
So that we have more stable power and more stable connections.
Look, we must work for the people and get the people to understand that this government is their government. Why will you work against the interests of the people? Because it is precisely because the people had tremendous confidence in your ability to deliver. That's why they voted us into power.
Exactly so.
Cognizance of this fact, it behooves on us to discharge our responsibilities to the people. And that is precisely what the president has directed that we do.
Okay.
Now, so when people sit aloof, not wanting to believe that these things are happening, then you wonder whether they live in this country of ours or not. Go to the Brown Half region. Under an Airtel program, we connected a lot of communities.
Okay.
But that even didn't reduce the pressure on the Minister of Energy to connect more.
Okay.
So we are further moving to connect 110 communities in the Brown Half region under an EBIT facility.
So we've entered the realms of 5,000 and over.
Under the 3 million Chinese Exim Bank facility, $200 million of that facility would be used for the purposes of extending electricity to more rural areas.
Okay.
Why? Because the policy is a 30-year policy. And by 2020, Ghana must have universal access.
Okay. Let me quote from one of our professors from the University of Ghana, Professor Elizabeth Adefio Shandov, in her inaugural lecture published 16th September 2004. She made a profound statement in page 7, and I quote, "Without access to energy and opportunity for formal education and good health, the well-being of many people in developing countries and Africa remains doubtful." How profound, how do you position these arguments in the development issues that you've raised as regards the expansion in the power sector in Ghana? Because Ghana is definitely an African country.
My brother, a Harvard professor once said that he's yet to see an educated people who are poor.
Okay.
Clearly, education is the panacea to reducing or eliminating poverty. Now, can you imagine the village in my region, no light, no drinking water. They have schools. Yeah. They are supposed to read in the night. They use the candle when they have, or paraffin in their lanterns. These same people are mandated or required to write the same examination with people who study in air-conditioned classrooms. How unfair can we be as a country? By extending electricity to those rural areas, you are creating opportunities for them to develop themselves.
Okay.
That is why, as a social democratic government, we think that this is a responsibility that we must willingly assume. Yeah. And we have assumed it in such a way that we are discharging this responsibility to the administration of many rural communities. Okay. These communities that we are mentioning are not phantom communities.
Not at all.
They're in Ghana. And you go there, you will see.
I remember the last time when we came to the northern region, to your constituency, we went as far as Zong in the Savulugu. Yeah, in the Savulugu area there. And then whilst we go in there, I saw a very touching scene where an old woman had to drop her firewood to fetch water from a pond, from a stagnant pond, to drink. And I was so touched that no, these are communities that need water, that need electricity. And I was excited because whilst we went there, I saw power being extended, and then even the road was being constructed. And then when we got even to the community, there were small borehole projects that were being shifted as of the time we went. And I was really impressed at the work that we're doing right there, even in faraway communities.
Yes, this is precisely when the accident occurred and we went to the Peace Palace. Yes. You saw the road.
Yeah, I saw it.
The road had been in a very deplorable state for a very long time. During campaigning, we had gone to promise them that we were going to make the road. And we made the road.
Okay.
Exactly during campaigning, we told them we're going to extend electricity. Yeah. And we've extended electricity. You go there and you can't tell the people that they have not seen electricity.
They've not seen development.
They will definitely tell you that they have seen it.
Okay.
And so let me take you back to 2007.
Sure.
And refer you to what the EC, Energy Commission, has said. In anticipation of the low inflows into the lake in future, the Energy Commission, in its 2002-2003 annual report, urged government to ensure that VRA does not operate the Okosombo Lake Reservoir below 240 feet. The Energy Commission further proposed to government the following energy generation expansion program. In the year 2003, we put in place a 200 megawatt power plant. That's thermal plant. In the year 2004, we put in place an additional 200 megawatt power thermal plant. In the year 2005 to 2007, we put in place a 200 megawatt thermal power plant. And in the year 2007 to 2010, we put 100 megawatt thermal power plant for each year. If this generation addition plan had been implemented by the end of 2007, we would have had 600 megawatts of thermal plant installed. The then Minister of Energy, Dr. Caucus, at his meeting the press session on 16 December 2003, also informed the nation that Ghana will become a net exporter of power in the next 5 years. Because he was talking to these recommendations that were given to the Minister of Energy and by extension government. And that government will ensure that we are self-reliant in power generation with sufficient or significant excess power to export into the sub-region through the proposed West African Power Pool Initiative.
Okay.
We're in 2010. So one will say that something is being done to mitigate the hardships that have befallen this country by reason of the recent power outages and ensure that we have adequate reserve margins to deal with the power inadequacies of power will mean exactly that.
Okay.
And I can tell you that by the end of next year, at most by 2014, Ghana will have an installed capacity in the region of 4,100 and over megawatts of power.
All right, thank you. Viewers, we'll go for another break, and when we come back, the discussion continues. Ghana, developments and the energy nexus with the Honorable Deputy Minister for Energy, Honorable Inusa Hussein, who is also a Member of Parliament for Tamale. And this is the time that we open the phone lines and allow you to join in the discussion. And I always say that your comments, your questions, suggestions should be very civil and then should be straight to the point so that we can allow as many people to join in the discussion. The phone lines to call now, 0302 11701 or 0302 11702. Back to Honorable Inusa Hussein. What is the future looking like for Ghana as regards our energy needs?
The future is bright. We are a growing country.
We have a first caller, Latif from Boga. Hello, Latif.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, Felix.
Yeah, good evening, Latif.
Good evening, Honorable Inusa.
Fine evening, Latif.
Mr. Inusa, Honorable,
yes,
sorry. I want to find out something from you.
Yes,
what is the state of the Palgo Dam? That monies were being secured, feasibility studies, everything was being done. Monies was being secured, $500 million US by the previous government. And then before this government came, up to date, even a cutting sort could have not even seen at the site, and which could have also generate and support the ECD. And then up to now, we're not hearing things. So what is the state of it? Because we don't know where the money is.
Okay,
and
all right.
Several,
Thank you. Thank you. Your point well made. Let me pick Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan from Bongo. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Felix.
Yeah, good evening, Jonathan.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Anola.
Nah, Abira.
Yes, of course, I'm calling from Bongo High Street. And I believe this evening we should congratulate Honorable. About 2 days ago, I was listening to him on Joy FM. And other people came out and said he contradicted himself because he said the NDC government have added 150 megabytes, while the president in his State of Nation address also said they've added 376. Anyway, he has tackled that and we leave that. The Honorable, coming to Upper East region, you said you have extended a lot of electricity. I'm calling from Bongo to be precise. Currently, I'm speaking to you, the Dua community. Poles were being erected in the 2008. As of now, there's no light.
Okay.
In Belungo, where there is in the PR of the Energy Ministry, Mr. Edward Bawa, where he is coming from, there's no electricity there.
Okay.
In Guruga, where I'm speaking from, the driver of the DEC of Bongo, where he's coming from, there's no electricity.
Okay,
there.
all right. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. I will pick another caller, Adamuda. Hello, Adamuda. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Adamuda.
Sorry. Yeah, this is Adamuda calling from Wa.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, I'm sad because the Muslims in this country who preach Islam and hold its principles of Islam in high esteem now tend to be telling lies.
How does that relate to electricity? How does that relate to electricity?
Let me go ahead to make my point.
Okay.
The president said in his State of the Nation address that they have you have added 338 megawatts.
76.
And
76.
in an interview also said 150.
You got your figures wrong.
Know, what is the true state of the difference?
Okay,
and
all right.
You claim that you have done this, and there's
okay, all right. Thank you very much, Adamuda, for your comment. Honorable, if you want to respond to someone.
Adamuda, clearly, I was speaking, and I said in the interview, if you listen to me carefully, I was speaking as Deputy Minister of Energy, and I was telling Ghanaians what government has done. And I used the word about. Listen to the interview again. I'm saying here that I discounted Solar Asogla, which is a private activity.
Because it was also a government of Ghana project.
In any case, the project was there but never ran.
Okay.
Government, the president, in addressing the nation, talked about the installed capacity at the time
he was speaking to the nation.
He was speaking to the nation.
Yeah.
And in that time, he had to add, and he was obliged to tell us how many megawatts of power had been added since NDC came into power.
Okay, what of Jonathan, who spoke from WA, and then was mentioned some communities that the poles have been erected?
No, that's
and
from Bongo.
Okay.
Yeah, that is understandable. Last week I was in Bongo. I was in Upper East Region to introduce the contractor Tengership to do the project.
Okay.
Now, what we have said is that all ongoing projects which were given, which are covered by contracts, we will ensure that we complete those projects. I just spoke about 630 transformers that we went to buy from India. We are preparing to import into this country overhead line dressing materials to complete those projects. Indeed, we believe that when we complete those projects, we will not be talking about adding 18% to the previous access rate that was left by the MPP. We'll be adding more, and we will want to complete them. Now, so it's important, it's good that he said these things, and we will come back on them. The Palago project. Again, we don't want to engage in the blame game. And I'm a true Muslim. I don't engage in blame games. The facts, as I know it, is simple. The $500 million he refers to was matter that was approved, yes, in 2008. What was it for? It was for the construction of the Palogo Dam and the Juale dams. No feasibility studies was done on the Juale Dam. When we came into office, we conducted feasibility studies on the Juale Dam. And the impoundment of the dam would have displaced people in the Republic. No, not even downstream in Ghana, we will move them. It would have affected people in Togo. So just last week,
like what happens yearly at what's the name of the area? I've forgotten the name.
When the
Burkina Faso
dam is open.
Yes.
But even why do we need Palogo? We need Palogo precisely because of what you have just referred to. Flat control.